Deteriorating road conditions once again. Storm Team 18 Chief Meteorologist Chad Evans starts us off now with the forecast. Chad?
Yeah, we saw wave 1 last night and through the morning hours with snow and some ice, up to 1 inch of accumulation. But now we've got snow, sleet, and freezing rain all over the viewing area. That's slickening up roadways. So far at last report, I've had some totals as high as about 1.5 inches of snow and ice in the area, and you can see here the radar says it's all snow except for far southeast Montgomery County, but I can tell you that not all this is snow. Some of this is sleet and some of it is freezing rain, especially in the southern part of the viewing area. It's more in the way of just all snow as you go northward. We can see that with dual pole radar. This shows us, rather than relying on the radar algorithm to color code the precip type, what we do is take the radar, we're looking at the size of the pieces coming out of the sky. And anywhere you see the yellow here, the bright yellows, that is sleet coming down. The uniform maroon color here is mainly snow. A little orange here, maybe a little sleet falling in some places with that snow. And then you look to the southwest, this bright yellow, that is all sleet. But some of the maroon color here is also some freezing rain mixed up in that as well. So we've got sleet, freezing rain, and snow, and you can see this is kind of the buffer zone across greater Lafayette. Sleet, sleet, sleet. This is probably some snow here, and down here the more uniform maroon is probably some light freezing rain, and this general maroon is light snow. Now there is a little dry air trying to punch into the system. It's kind of split it into two pieces, so it's heavy snow here and all the snow and ice down here. Now the thinking is that this may try to back build a little bit through this evening. So we're still going to have at least snow and a light freezing rain and sleet right into the overnight hours, even with a little dry air trying to punch in. So 1 to 4 inches of sleet and snow for much of the viewing area now. I've taken the 4 to 6 inch amounts and kind of pushed them northward. This is by later tomorrow. Again, it's the far northern fringe at 4 to 6, but 1 to 4 looks pretty good. And some glaze, 1/10 of an inch or less of glaze area wide. You can see why I pushed the heavier totals north, because I pushed the ice line farther north too. Ice chews up snowfall amounts, and then you see the numbers through the evening. Steady in the mid-20s, wind chills teens with the snow, the sleet, and the freezing rain. And traffic is moving along very slowly. Note all the yellow, which is slow traffic, and the orange, which is just very slow traffic on all area roadways right now. We've had reports of some fender benders, especially on the Hoosier Heartland Highway, and slow traffic all the way north on I-65 to Remington, and more orange, very slow traffic south of Frankfort and also east of Crawfordsville. We'll talk more next.
Okay, Chad, and of course the weather conditions are creating hazardous driving across the greater Lafayette area. News 18's Perry Apostolakos is out on the streets right now. Perry, can you tell us about the current conditions where you are?
Hi there, Jeff. I am here on Sagamore Parkway in the News 18 live drive in Lafayette, driving with Ryan Delaney. And actually, as a matter of fact, we have already seen 1 2-vehicle crash and 2 vehicles in ditches just after we left the station here before coming on live to show you the road conditions. So looking ahead, there is definitely significant powder coming down. Their roads are feeling slick. That's what Ryan is telling me now. And there is significant traffic. We're heading into rush hour, so we definitely want to increase our following distances and give ourselves enough time to get where we're going today, because as we have already seen with those 3 incidents that we saw here just on Sagamore Parkway, there is definitely possibility for some accidents today. So that is all I have for right now. Reporting in Lafayette, Perry Apostolakos, News 18. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Perry, thank you. And as always, News 18 is continuing to keep track of the latest weather conditions. You can download the News 18 weather app to keep you and your family safe. You can also find the latest information online at WLFI.com. Now to Ukraine, worldwide condemnation is pouring in hours after Russia began what U.S. defense officials are calling the initial phase of a full-scale invasion of that country. President Biden announced new sanctions in response this afternoon, and as Natalie Brand reports, it comes as protests break out across the nation in solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
By land and by air, Russian military forces continue to advance their invasion of Ukraine, which began late Wednesday night. The Pentagon says Russia fired roughly 100 missiles in this initial phase, targeting Ukraine's military infrastructure and highly populated residential areas.
Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
After meetings with his national security team and then G7 world leaders, President Biden unveiled what he describes as unprecedented sanctions against Russia.
We estimate that we'll cut off more than half of Russia's high-tech imports. It will strike a blow to their ability to continue to modernize their military. It'll degrade their aerospace industry, including their space program.
Meanwhile, NATO says it will activate defense plans to protect its eastern flank. A U.S. defense official says around 7,000 additional U.S. troops will deploy to Germany. President Biden says he will not send U.S. forces into Ukraine. They are there to shore up NATO, though the U.S. has sent hundreds of millions of dollars in military equipment to help Ukrainians defend their country.
We do not expect anyone to fight for us, but we expect all the help and all the response the West can send to us.
U.S. forces in Poland have set up camps to receive refugees from Ukraine, while loved ones here in the U.S. fear for their safety.
It's painful to see my family being on both sides, being in Ukraine and being in Russia.
Demonstrators took to the streets around the U.S. to stand in solidarity with Ukraine. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And members of Congress from both sides of the aisle have been largely unified in their condemnation of Russian President Vladimir Putin. They're receiving an unclassified briefing from top Biden administration officials this afternoon. Now, Indiana Senator Todd Young, who's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, released a statement regarding Russia's invasion today. In part, Young said, quote, Vladimir Putin is attacking the democratic rules-based order that has benefited countless Americans and millions around the globe since World War II. The United States must stand with the Ukrainian people by immediately providing additional assistance, including military equipment and lethal aid. And Young went on to say leaders of the free world must awaken to the challenges that come with the return of great power, conflict, in a multipolar world. It's essential that America sends an unequivocal message: invading sovereign, democratic nations will never be tolerated. And Indiana Senator Mike Braun issued a similar statement. He said, quote, though I hope the administration would proactively shut down Russian energy assets, such as Nord Stream 2, to deter further aggression, as a majority of senators voted to do, Putin and his cronies must now be punished with severe economic consequences for their unjustified invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. must unleash independent American energy production to lessen the pain of rising fuel prices on Americans, and the U.S. must be watchful to avoid endangering U.S. troops by involving them further in this volatile situation. Well, News 18 spoke with a Purdue University political science professor to get his take on the motivations and implications of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Kyle Haynes, an associate professor of political science at Purdue, says Russia has multiple motivations for invading their neighbor, but power over the nation that was once part of the Soviet Union is one of them. Haynes speculates that Russian President Vladimir Putin has had the general idea for this attack since the Ukrainian Revolution in 2014. He says an invasion of this scale probably took months of planning, and this leads to speculation about whether Putin's attempts at diplomatic negotiation were genuine. And the question remains as to whether the invasion would have been avoided if some of Russia's demands had been met.
You know, Putin doesn't like having a sort of unfriendly regime directly on Russia's borders, and you know what we've seen is that he's willing to take on really big costs and really big risks in order to avoid that.
He also says the sanctions that President Biden and U.S. allies have imposed on Russia will impact prices of things, including Russian imports like gas and grain, right here at home. Well, public visitation for Stephanie and Maya Thompson is happening right now in White County. Both mother and daughter died in a house fire last Thursday. News 18's Marvin Bills joins us now live in White County. Marvin, how are things looking and what do people need to know?
Jeff, good evening, and good evening to you all watching at home. I am at Twin Lakes High School. This is where public visitation is happening right now for Stephanie and Maya Thompson. And here's what you need to know. Public visitation is being held in the school's main gym, and the school is located at 300 3rd Street in Monticello. Visitation will run through 8 p.m. or until 8 p.m. rather. A funeral service is being held tomorrow morning in the main gym starting at 11 a.m. Indiana State Police is asking any officers attending the funeral to show up by 10 a.m. And following the service, Stephanie and Maya will be escorted to Riverview Cemetery, and that cemetery is located at 1441 River Road in Monticello, Indiana. And right now you're looking at video. This is posters. Those posters are lining the hallways here at Twin Lakes High School. And as many of you know, friend to the family, Annie Beardmore, has created a GoFundMe account. And at last check, that account has already reached over $40,000 with over 500 donations. Sergeant Thompson was 48 when she died, and Maya was 17 when she died. And let me tell you something, regardless, even though there's snow coming out up here in White County, that is not stopping people from, showing their support, stopping in to share and give their condolences to the family. The line is stretched all the way down the high school hallway. Of course, I'll be here and I'll have an update for you coming up on News 18 at 6. Reporting live in White County, Marvin Bills, News 18.
Fluctuations in our temperatures are creating problems at Murdoch Elementary School in Lafayette. What the school corporation may do to fix a leaky roof there, that's just ahead. And a live look outside at the current conditions on Interstate 65 in Tippecanoe County. Storm Team 18 Chief Meteorologist Chad Evans tells us how long we can expect the snow to fall when we come back.
You're watching News 18 at 5. News from where you live.
Well, welcome back. The recent cycle of freezing and thawing temperatures led to big roof leak problems at Murdoch Elementary School in Lafayette. Check out these pictures. They're submitted anonymously to us here at News 18. One shows a school hallway lined with buckets and trash cans collecting water. Another shows soggy, busted ceiling tiles in what appears to be a lounge area. Lafayette School Superintendent Les Huddle says contractors are considering temporary fixes to get through the winter. Then they'll focus on long-term replacement. Huddle was not available today for an on-camera interview. Multiple parents tell News 18, though, that the school canceled its extracurricular events for the week.
And now, your Storm Team 18 forecast. Weather from where you live.
All right, this is dual pole radar. We're looking at the size, shape of what's coming in out of the sky. This maroon color that's very even is all snow. You start getting some of these reds and oranges, that's a little sleet mixing in. The bright yellows you see right here, that is sleet. Some of the maroon color down here is freezing rain. And when you see kind of all the colors together, you kind of have a mix of everything. And here at the station, it's a little snow and sleet mixed together. And you can see the sleet back here in Illinois as well. This is just freezing drizzle and some snow in central Illinois. So there you see it. This is pretty heavy sleet here. Sleet, likely a little freezing rain. And up here, we're right on the edge of the sleet here at the station. It's a little sleet and snow mix. Snow at Logansport, snow at Winnemac. Little sleet maybe mixing in west of Logansport. And then look at the snow sleet line, very distinct here in parts of Howard and Carroll counties. A little dry air is punching in right here, kind of splitting the system into two pieces. But the thinking is, looking at the latest high resolution data, this precip will tend to back build a little bit this evening. So we're still going to have light freezing rain, freezing drizzle, areas of light snow, sleet right through the overnight hours, and even some snow showers lasting into tomorrow. And then we get kind of the backside snow showers. So you've got this batch coming through this evening and tonight. Then on the backside of the system, we get these snow showers tomorrow with even some lake enhancement as well. So it appears 1 to 4 inches for a good chunk of the viewing area of sleet and snow, up to 1/10 of an inch of glaze ice. We've already had 2 inches of snow just this afternoon here at the TV station after 6/10 of an inch of snow this morning that melted. And the highest amounts will be in the far north of 4 to 6 inches of snow and sleet. Again, I took that heavier band, pushed it north because there's just a lot more sleet and freezing rain chewing away at the total. So 1 to 4 looks pretty good for a pretty good chunk of the area. Mid-20s through evening, wind chills teens. Kind of brisk northeast winds blowing with the mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain around. Eventually, it'll go to just all light snow late tonight, gusts to 30 miles an hour as the wind turns to the northwest. The lows down around 21 degrees at Greater Lafayette and 22 at Rensselaer. Wind chills upper single digits to about 13. And there are your snowfall totals and ice totals yet once again. All right, let's go to Futurecast. This is 8:30. Freezing rain, sleet, this is a little snow, this is all freezing drizzle, freezing rain and some sleet. Same thing at 1:30 in the morning, ends as a little light snow, but even through the day tomorrow, snow showers will be pivoting in from the northwest, some from the system, some from lake effect, a little more accumulation can't be ruled out. So 26 to 30 for your high temperature. Again, an inch or less of additional accumulation. Wind chills teens. The sun may try to poke through every now and then with wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour. Then we look to Saturday. The sun comes out after a very cold morning and it warms up. Windy with a high near 38. Your 70 forecast looks like this. Normal high 40, 21 tonight, 29 for tomorrow, 12 tomorrow night, where you clear out the most single digits, 36 Saturday. I upped Monday's temperature because it looks like the cold will tend to bypass us, and then we're back to 52 for a high on Wednesday.